Okay, I have a question for you. When was the last time you actually felt like you had a real vacation over the holidays? I mean, you were really off duty, you got fully recharged, things you were able to just be carefree, do what you want to do kind of thing, right? I know for me and for the women I'm friends with and the women I know, so many of the women I talk to tell me this. The answer is probably mm, never, right? Like we love the holidays, don't get me wrong. Family time, the traditions, the food, the joy we get from watching our family, our kids, even if they're adults, our grandkids now light up over all of the wonder of the holiday. But let's kind of get real about this. No, let's get real about this. When you're the one creating all that joy and holding everything together, it's hard to feel like you're really part of it. I mean, it's like it's like being the director of a Hallmark movie. You're behind the scenes making the magic happen, so you know it ain't magic because you're not the one living in it, right? And so what I want to do is kind of break this down because I know that this is not a unique experience. For so many of us, the holidays mean more work, not less. If you have kids at home, whether they're in high school or college, or even if they're adults coming back home to visit, you're juggling meals, the traditions, if your family has them, you're cleaning, you're doing the shopping, you're decorating, you're hosting, and you're keeping everybody happy. And that's on top of every freaking other thing you already have to do every single day, right? And so, here's the kicker. We love our families and we want to create all the magic for them, but it's still a lot and it's still exhausting. And you know what? It is okay to admit that. And I really want you to take a moment and kind of take that in because I think we have this, whether it's conscious or subconscious, we have this idea in our heads that we shouldn't complain about that. And of course, of course, we're the ones that do all of the things. And it's it's just expected in such a way that if we talk about this out loud, we look like we're being ungrateful, or we look like we resent our families, or we sound like we don't love our families, or we're not happy in our marriage. And that's the thing. It's okay to admit that you can still love your family and want to do all these things and admit that it is hard and that there is kind of an unfairness around all of this, because when we don't admit it and we don't talk about it, we end up in this like emotional weird space where we feel drained and maybe we are resentful, but we also then feel guilty for feeling that way. And quick story, and my mom suffers, from this too. My mom suffers from this emotional disease around the holidays. But no, I'm going to be serious about it because we talked about this recently. I was at her house over Thanksgiving, and I did grow up watching my mom be very, very concerned with making sure that everything was perfect for everybody, planning exhaustively, wanting everyone to have their favorite dessert, wanting the meal to be perfect, and wanting everyone to really like have all the dishes that are traditional, and doing all the shopping and doing all the decorating, and she put herself under such stress and pressure. And then what I witnessed was she she was the one who did all that, and nobody really paid attention to her being happy, because we're freaking selfish as humans. I'm going to put myself in this I'm kind of going on a tangent, and I'm rambling a little bit, I know, but let me explain. So I'm not, when I say this and I'm giving this sort of, story about my family, I'm not saying that I wasn't right along there being selfish and getting, the benefit and reaping all the reward of my mom doing all the work. I was. um, and I think we oftentimes do that where we're like conscious of it, but we'll let someone else suffer because we're so selfish and we know that um it's easier that way, right? But anyway, back to my story. So I watched my mom do this for years, and I knew that there was like this letdown after the holidays for her, and I didn't really understand it. I thought my mom was moody, or I thought my mom was menopausal or crazy or whatever, that we say. Um and then I grew up to be the same way. And around the holidays, I would be really excited about them coming, but then there would be this let down and this pressure first of having to make sure all the gifts were bought and all the things and wanting everybody to be happy. And then there would be this letdown afterwards. And it's like, well, now what, right? It's almost this indescribable feeling. And if you can relate, I'd love to hear from you. Because I do think this is a very common sense of feeling, this sense or this feeling that women have. And then we get to the point where we feel guilty for feeling that way. So it's like this vicious emotional roller coaster cycle that we put ourselves through during the holidays. And it's something that I work with a lot with clients, helping them to recognize that invisible weight that they're carrying around and help them to find real strategies to lighten that load, right? It's not about doing less for the people we love, but it's about finding ways to care for ourselves in the process. And so, why is this such a universal experience for us as women? Well, let me get a little nerdy and into the science of it for a minute. Research shows that women shoulder the majority of what's called the emotional labor, that invisible work of planning, organizing, managing everyone's experience. And during the holidays, what we know is that that workload on average triples for us as women. And so on top of that, our brains are wired to anticipate joy for others, which can create this emotional roller coaster that I talked about. So when the holidays finally arrive, we experience the high from watching everyone else enjoy what we've created. But then when it's over, there's this drop, this sense of the what now, like I said, or even sadness, because we didn't get the same wonder everyone else did. We were too busy making the freaking wonder happen. Um, and I I like I said, I remember this vividly growing up. And I remember as an adult recognizing the pattern that I didn't realize was a pattern growing up. And so several years ago, I had spent really weeks decorating, planning, shopping. I would say cooking, but that would be a lie. um, but I was really excited to see everyone's faces on Christmas, opening presents and while I loved that part, I found myself becoming aware of this like odd mixture of what I'll call relief and an emptiness. Yeah, that's what it was. It was like this really odd kind of combination of relief and emptiness once it was over. And I realized that I'd been so focused, like my mom had been for years, making it special for everyone else, that I stopped thinking about what would make it special for me. And here's the truth. If you can hear my voice, I want you to hear this clearly. We deserve the joy too. We deserve to feel the magic of the holidays, not just create it for everyone else. And so, how do we navigate this space, right? Where we still show up for our families, but we also show up for ourselves. And I'm going to give you several tips And even if you just take away one of them, I think that you will be really glad that you did. So hang in here with me. I'm going to give you some tips. One is I want you to build your own traditions. There's, I know you may have all these family traditions, but what I'm talking about is focus on building something, carving out something that's just for you. Maybe that is on Christmas morning, you go for an early walk in the quiet before like all the chaos starts. Or maybe you just cozy up for 30 minutes or an hour um, by yourself with a favorite holiday drink, your cup of coffee, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but you need to do something for you. Make a tradition that is just you that you're going to stick with. That's my first tip. Second is share the load. Okay. You don't have to do it all. And I want you to think about this. I'm going to be really blunt because sometimes I think we can be masochistic about this. I think that you talk about dreading and you get pissy or maybe resentful about doing all the work, but then you don't let anybody else help you because you kind of enjoy being able to do all the work and you're addicted to the work and the letdown. So like reflect and look inside and be open and honest with yourself. Is that part of what's going on? And if it is, think long and hard about that special kind of sickness, that special kind of twisted addiction you have to the pain around, because that's a pain. Doing all the work is painful. Emotionally, it's painful. It can be physically painful too. But if you're addicted to that kind of pain, if you're getting pleasure from that pain, that's something that you really need to examine. Maybe you need to talk to your therapist about that. But on a serious note, you don't have to do it all. You can assign tasks, whether it's decorating, it's cooking, it's managing travel plans, whatever it is. You can let other people take some ownership and part and have some part in that holiday magic. And I promise you, for those of you who are control freaks, I should say for those of us who are control freaks, I promise you the sky will not fall if the napkins don't match the plates. Okay. And if you know, you know. All right. Um, with my coaching clients, this is really one of the big shifts that we work on is it's realizing that asking for help and letting go of control doesn't make us less capable. It really does free us up to be more present and to enjoy the holidays ourselves. So that's tip 2. Tip 3, I want you to be present in the small moments. It is really, really easy to get caught up in the what's next, the next meal, the next activity, the next thing to clean or cook, right? But take time to really pause and be present in the joy that you've created. Watch your kids laugh, play with your grandkids, have conversations with people, feel the warmth of the lights. Remind yourself that you made all of this happen and you need to take time to soak it up, okay? Because, and not to get too woo, but we never get this time back. Like this holiday season will be the last holiday season this year that you ever get to enjoy. It'll be the last time your kids are at this stage in their lives. It'll be the last time your grandkids are at this age. It's going to be the very last time that you are this age. It's going to be for some of us, it may be the last time we spend a holiday with some of our family members. And so remind yourself that this moment will never happen again and take some joy. Remove yourself from being so caught up and take some time to really like soak it in. Okay. Um, that one hit me. uh, fourth tip, set realistic expectations. I mean, come on, let's be honest. We often create a lot of the stress ourselves. Like We create the stress by holding ourselves to these impossible freaking standards. And the holidays do not have to be Pinterest worthy. Um, they don't have to be perfect to be meaningful, right? So give yourself permission to let that go and allow room for what really, really matters. Because I can promise you that whoever you're following on Instagram, those are all staged moments. Your Instagram influencers have brand deals. They record a lot of that stuff in advance that they're posting. It's not real. It's not real. Okay. Um, then there's the like after, right? There's the letdown. So let's talk a little bit about that. That like weird kind of empty feeling when the holidays are over. It's okay to feel that too. This is not about trying to completely eradicate those uncomfortable feelings. It's okay to feel that. It doesn't mean that you don't love your family. It doesn't mean that you're not grateful. It just means that you poured a lot of yourself into something and now it's time to refill your cup, right? So take a day. If you don't think that you can do that for yourself, take an hour to do something that feels like a really good reset for you. Whether that is, sitting by yourself and journaling, whether it's taking a nap, whether it's, going out and getting a pedicure, whether it's doing absolutely freaking nothing. Give yourself the space and the time to kind of transition back to you, to your like normalcy, right? It's not selfish. It really is necessary. So bottom line, here's what I want you to take away from our conversation today. You don't have to sacrifice your joy to create joy for others. Let me say that again. You don't have to sacrifice your joy to create joy for others. You can do and you can have both. You're allowed to prioritize yourself and still love your family fiercely. And when you do that, you really can find that the holidays feel less like a chore and more like a celebration, the celebration that they're meant to be for everybody, including you. That is a shift that I was able to make several years ago that I recognized as a huge milestone on my health journey. And I want you to make that shift too. I want you to have that celebration. I want you to make that progress too. And so, again, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to be here next week just like always through the actual week of Christmas. I will have an episode. I'm going to record it in advance and have it all set up and ready for you. But I really do appreciate you hanging out with me. I say this all the time, I know, but I can't say it enough. I value you being here with me. I hope that this episode gave you something to think about, maybe a new way even to approach the season. And if it resonated with you, just know that everything that I've shared with you is something that we go much deeper into these kinds of things in my coaching, because every woman deserves to have real strategies that are science-based strategies. You deserve to have support for navigating these very real, very normal kinds of challenges. And so sending you all the love, and I will see you right back here next time.